good evening. Welcome to a little something in the spirit overtime, where we are here, sweetheart, because years ago we started.
How much beer, please?
I tell you, my God.
Thank you. Keep on.
But it's a little something in the spirit. Where a few years ago that we were overtime, meaning we started years ago a little something in the spirit, and it was an idea to go through and just talk to people about topics, but bring wisdom. And I'm going to find that intro. Here's a little something in the spirit, just a little wisdom. And the whole purpose was to bring wisdom. Mm-hmm. Our whole purpose is to bring the wisdom learned, the wisdom earned, and wisdom lost and regained. Mm-hmm. And give you, if you have wisdom, they say knowledge is power, mm-hmm. but the ability to be able to carry out what it is that you say you believe is wisdom. Mm-hmm. Because knowledge, wisdom in action is taking a knowledge and applying it.
Absolutely.
And so this evening, what we would like to do, because many of us are cabin fevered out and many of us are having to spend one more time with our family members, with one another, mm-hmm. than we ever have before. Mm-hmm. And so tonight, once again, will be a lesson in therapy. A lesson in how to get your love in order. Mm-hmm. A lesson how to get back in harmony with one another, mm-hmm. and with your family members, because this can be applied to family members. The principles are the same because all the principles are based on love. They're based on what we've learned over the years and in how it brings harmony to the family. Mm-hmm. And so the why of this is for you to examine your mind. Mm-hmm. And one of the things I told you, and I put a note down here, Jill, was that it was the day that I was in the garage and you came into the kitchen, and I said something in the kitchen that was, I said something in the garage and you hadn't said anything to me that was that provoking, but I responded in mm-hmm. such a way. Mm-hmm. And I said, why did I do that? Why did I say that? That wasn't even called for. Mm-hmm. That energy wasn't even necessary. And that's when I began to study and say, all right, God, help me figure out, you're my friend. I love you. You're my lover. You're my friend. But I'm still acting like a butthole when it comes to dealing with you mm-hmm. and doing certain mm-hmm. things. And it's just not good. And I need to be better, because I wouldn't do that to my friends. Mm-hmm. Then why would I do it to my best friend? And so that our why tonight is about helping you examine why we do what we do. And hopefully you'll be able to get yourself on the right page. You got anything you want to share before we go?
And one very important part for me in terms of why, and this is probably follows me if you follow my teaching or what, when we're teaching together, it is to make sure that you could withstand mm-hmm. the storms of life mm-hmm. in relationship.
Right.
And again, it's going to go back to the same old something, and that is structure. Mm-hmm. If your foundation is off, if I did not go and revisit the cracks in my walls, in my floors, when it came to the foundation and the structure of marriage. I heard so many things that didn't work for me, mm-hmm. and I hated it, and I don't use the word hate often, but I'm telling you, I can pretty much say I hated it because I was almost required to dummy down mm-hmm. just to be in a relationship, and I said, I can't do this. I tried. And I'm not saying I tried to dummy down, I just tried not to walk in my own sense of knowing and right. awareness of myself. Mm-hmm. And I tried to see if I was just wrong about something. So, I won't get into that, because by the time we get to further into this, Deron, we'll kind of answer some of that. But the big deal for me was that I didn't want someone to tell me that I had to lose myself so that someone else can live. And I just had to be the person to make the sacrifice all along, because that's how someone interpreted the Bible. And once I had a conversation, it just kept coming back to that. So I'm thankful today that I get something that I didn't get before. And I want to share this with you because it'll bring us both into what we call not a power struggle, but a power couple.
Terms of endearment or terms of defensiveness or terms of destruction. And I got caught up when you said a power couple. This is about couple power.
Sounds good.
There are many of us and I understand they're power couples and we want to be a power couple, but you have to have couple power, family power. And what we have is couple power. We're not a power couple. We have couple power. Go ahead.
Right. Well, hopefully this is what you're saying, that as two individuals, because we've always said this, we don't have a marriage problem, you have a me problem, a you problem. So when two individuals are able to walk in their God-given authority and freedom, then fire, power comes together. Mm-hmm. And now you got two people, a couple, but yet we are powerful in our own unique way.
Yeah, because I think a lot of times when they say power couple, people want to have a bunch of influence over people and have status and do all that stuff. And I know there's some really strong couples that are out there, but I honestly believe that if you have couple power, then that responsibility and energy is equally distributed, and it's not based upon whatever you're getting ready to say. Go ahead.
Absolutely. And let me say this, you're perfectly correct in that. And so let me say this for you. I don't care. I don't care about power, nothing. Mm-hmm. I don't use those terms for myself because I think it's just trendy. So just know this, I'm using someone else's terms, but I don't apply that to myself one way or the other, because saying something don't mean you're going to live it, or that it absolutely is just because you say it. So let me just say, let me do it. My granddaughter breaking on down. I don't care. I care about this. If you have love, and if you have love not just for yourself, and you understand life, then guess what? The power of God will shine through you, and that's where I'm on that side.
And so let's talk about how you bring the love into your family. And I call this breathe again. And I said something in the spirit. Breathe again. Mm-hmm. And the whole goal is for you to breathe again, because many of us, once the destructiveness gets into our system, we stop breathing. We don't have the freedom to breathe like we normally did. Mm-hmm. And so you have the conscious mind, and then you have the unconscious mind. For years, I've taught about the unconscious, subconscious, and the unconscious, subconscious, and the conscious mind. And there's a difference between your conscious mind and your unconscious mind. Like right about now, if you've got a big toe that works, you're not even thinking about it until I mention your big toe. Now just move your big toe. Now you're now conscious. But now, during the day you don't ever think about your big toe until you kick it on the bed or a dresser or something like that. Mm-hmm. But what you do is you become conscious of that part of yourself. Well, in the same way, when you're in a relationship, you have a conscious mind and you have an unconscious mind. And a love that is conscious is a love that is free. So when you are somebody, conscious means to be present. Mm-hmm. Conscious means to be present with what's going on, present with what's happening. And when you're in a love that's conscious, it's a love that's free of mistrust, free of disharmony, and unspoken words. It's free of it, meaning that when you have a conscious love, there's a freedom that's going on, and there's a freedom for each person to be able to be themselves. Mm-hmm. It's a love, when you have a conscious mindset and a conscious love, it's a love that adds energy. It does not take energy. And so a conscious love is a unconscious love is different from a conscious love. When you're unconscious, you are not present with what's going on. You're more moving by obligation or moving by osmosis, or you're just going along with the flow, mm-hmm. but you're not conscious and present of what's going on. And if your relationships are going to work, your families are going to work, people are going to have to be conscious of one another, especially if we've been in the home with each other now for the last couple of weeks or so. Many of us have now saying, wait a minute, I just been getting along, but I haven't been present in my relationships. And so an unconscious love is entangled and burdened by past programming. In order for me to become the man who I am today, I had to get that program deleted. I had to get that unconscious programming that I had deleted, removed, or erased because I was acting pre-programmed and didn't even know that that's what was going on. And that kind of action and that kind of love drains energy from you and your partner, your family member, or the one that you love. And so as we learn, we're going to find out true love is going to bring freedom. True love is going to bring freedom to the house, freedom into the relationship, freedom to the person, freedom to yourself. And the most of us we're familiar with, or we say love, but what we're not familiar with is codependent love. Now, Jill, I want to take a different look at codependent love because sometimes a word gets worn out so much that we really fail to understand the true meaning of what it means to be codependent.
It has been overused.
Yeah, overused. And so an agreement between a codependent love is an agreement between two people to stay locked. Now get this, in an unconscious pattern. There's some of us that are locked in unconscious battles, locked in unconscious skirmishes, locked in unconscious clapbacks, locked in unconscious relationships where we're not present with what's going on, but the pattern has taken over our relationships.
Right, and I think that over the years, what I've seen is an experience is people who think that someone's trying to change them. And so they're so bent on not giving someone the opportunity or the credit for changing them, so they remain the same. This is the way I am. This is the way I am. I'm not changing for anybody.
You knew this when you met me.
Right, and so that's the unconscious. That's what it looks like to me. To be locked into an unconscious behavior. What you say, a pattern. I've heard people say, when I get like this, I don't talk, or when I, and they kind of come along with these things that they don't do, and they bring it into this new space, and these things this is who I am, and I'm not changing, and that's why the lockdown and the unconscious patterns continue on and on and on and on.
He's not with his woman today, but there was a brother who said, I don't talk until you get to know me. I don't share or talk until you got to get to know me first. And I was able to say, my friend, you must understand, that's not how relationships go. You're going to have to be able to talk. But he had such a distrust, and he had such a lack of freedom that disharmony was brought into the relationship because he had to wait to see if the atmosphere was safe before he could even be who he was, because he was constantly on protection.
On guard, that's it.
On guard. And so when your behavior is turned, and so when you are in an unconscious pattern, your behavior is determined by someone else. And when others rely on you to keep their bad habits and addictions, I'm going to say this again. When other people rely on you to keep their bad habits and addictions, and when you submit to the moods of others and thereby are not true to your own feelings, yet the opposite of that's the opposite of an unconscious relationship. And I want to take a chance to dive into that, is that there's some of us, we're in this codependent thing because as long as they stay addicted, we feel normal. Do you get it? We are so used to chasing. We are so used to being in conflict. We are so used to there being one more thing. Then that becomes the thing that's in our relationship. Not freedom, not love, but I need you in order. And if you act like this, I act like this. And I feel life when I act like this.
I've heard of those stories, but I so ran away from that. I can't even relate
Right.
to being all in invested in that. And so even when you said earlier, Deron, you were talking about the behaviors determined by someone else in terms of the kind of codependent love, and then you just said when you rely on others to keep their bad habits, and I think you said how you submit to other people's moods.
Mm-hmm.
Now that was the area that I had to fight.
Okay.
I had to fight that because when you were going through whatever phases of freedom that you needed from your past, okay, then your mood became my project.
Okay.
Okay, and all of a sudden I think that I am going to change your mood so that our life can be normal.
Okay.
And the blessing was for me is that when I thought it was an addiction, I felt like I could not, addiction, too much trauma and all those things, right? I felt like there was nothing I could do. But once I decided that I was not going to allow someone else's mood. Now, how does that look for me? I go to another room. I had to, because I am a fixer, picker, upper, but I need to do that right. I'm a problem solver. Okay, I'm gonna say it that way. And it's good being a problem solver as long as you problem solving in a healthy way.
Right.
But if you're problem solving in a codependent way,
Right.
then you'll keep trying to get somebody on their feet and getting more involved to work on something than what you're really capable of doing.
Right.
And so I remember when moods were something that I thought was just some kind of responsibility of mine. When finally I just said, listen, it's a mood.
Right.
It's a mood. And that mood's going to have to change.
Right.
And I didn't take responsibility. But why did I do that, Ron? Because I'm telling you, this is what people tell women they have to do in order to keep a man.
Right.
Really, really. And that listen, women hear it all the time. Y'all know it. Y'all know it. It is the scariest thing. You know, they got songs out there talking about the clean up woman. You know, she'll come, get your man. You know, she come over, clean things up when you're not there. So women keep trying to be connected to something that it'll drive you nuts first. You absolutely cannot fix that.
Right. The opposite of a unconscious love is a creative partnership, where I've learned that I create my own realities. And when I said couple power, we have the power to create the relationship and the partnership that we want based on love. And when you are creative, you are now being conscious and you're becoming present. And when people are relating, and when you and the people you are relating to support each other in being whole and complete. And so when you have a creative partnership that's based on love, then what is happening is you support one another, and your goal is to help the other become whole and complete. And I say it this way: you keep it 100. And what is that? 100% responsibility. You learn to keep this thing 100. When your relationships, if you take responsibility for what you're contributing to the division, contributing to the funk, contributing to the chaos, contributing to the miscommunication, contributing to the energy, if you find that out, literally, if you decide, I'm going to keep it 100% responsibility, which means, Jill, I'm going to own what I'm bringing. If I own my mess, then you don't have to clean my mess. Go ahead.
Absolutely, but if I choose to remain unconscious, none of you don't get to this conversation right here. You have to be awake for that. Listen. the hardest thing, this relationship was so hard for me in this sense because I had a street code. Right? Listen, if I didn't change, he's not in here with a thread jacket on. No, all of that would mean too much to me. It is the truth. It is the truth. It would have meant too much to me. And I had to go through a breaking because I'm sorry, I come from an environment. I'm not talking about my home. Maybe it's growing up in Southeast DC. Listen, folks living in projects. I was living in project too. Folks living in project, criticizing, talking about other people and his stuff look like that and her stuff look like this and look what he has on. And so I was wrapped all mummified. I was wrapped all up in that. So by the time I meet you, it is so, your personality being forthcoming wasn't the hardest thing. It was me breaking away. It was me letting go of that pattern.
Right.
It was very difficult because what did it reveal? That I had built my life on and my worth on and my value on keeping up with where I came from. No matter how smart you were, none of that mattered. That was second to somebody's dress. Somebody hear me now. Listen, that it didn't matter if you were smart and that what was hard for me was I had that pattern. Which meant this, I stuck to that. All of the things that you brought out of me, all of the things that was the Creator intended for you to bring out of me wouldn't have happened because I wouldn't have allowed myself to connect enough. And so you do have to get past that unconscious part of just how devoted and dedicated you are to the neighborhood.
When you keep it 100%, it equals no room for the blame game. No room. I had to get to a point that you are not responsible for the way I feel. I am.
That's right.
She's not responsible. My friend is not responsible for the way I feel. Somebody that in my family, they're not responsible for the way I feel. I'm responsible for the way I feel. You can't make me feel this way. I make myself feel this way. And there's a lot of, especially with, I just talk about we as men, so you don't understand, when you say this, it make me feel like this, you disrespect me. No, you're not disrespecting me. I'm disrespecting myself by allowing myself to enter into certain blame game energies. And then that would make me not want to come home. That would make me say, I ain't going to go in there because if I do this, she going to say this. And if I say this, she going to do this. And I would have this whole conversation. So by the time I walked in the door, you were already victimized. You were already blamed guilty for me and what I was going to go through, because the whole thing is I felt that you controlled who I was. And God says, no, you're responsible. Keep it 100. No victimhood and no victimizing allowed. Right.
And I don't know if I'll be able to get it out clearly today because I'm feeling something, but really, I do believe, even as you talked about feeling disrespected, a lot of that comes from what you heard other people say. It really does. Because someone tells you, when this person does this, this is disrespectful. When they do this to you, that's disrespectful. Deron and I have been teaching together for years. There are times where when we're teaching and you would cut me off, people get mad for me.
They sure would.
They would get mad for me. Now, not that I wouldn't feel it, I could see it on your face. All you saw me on my face is me trying to switch channels and get back on board. That ain't disrespectful to me. That's something he may have to learn, and we may have to sit down and say, hey, listen, let's have a better transition. But it doesn't have to be all of that. But we're constantly offended because we live in a world that has fed our pride, and there's some kind of wisdom that has gotten passed down to us from somebody who thinks that in order for them to feel the way they're supposed to feel as a man or a woman, I got to hug your fist, you got to hug my fist, and you have to make me feel a certain way. Because if I ever feel less than the value, if I don't feel less than something, whatever your world tells you that is, then somebody's got to pay for that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm telling you, when you said you support each other in being whole and complete. That's what I meant when I said, how do I support you in being whole and complete? I gotta let you be you.
Mm-hmm.
And a good part of me allowing you to be you is to accept the fact that you weren't doing things wrong, you were doing things different than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Your taste for things, the places that we went, I would have never chose to do these kind of things on vacation. And all of those things I got to see afterwards, and I got to see the blessing in diversity or someone being different. But it was hard. It's hard for some of us to become whole and complete. Mm-hmm. Because we are way too embarrassed over so many things. Mm-hmm. So many. That's embarrassing. This embarrassing.
Put your hand, like if you move your hands and you was talking, stop moving your hands. Stop, you're gonna have people looking in here thinking that you fussing at me. But just talk to me, but don't. Well, she's demonstrative with her hands. And what the hell am I concerned about the people in the bus next to me? And they looking down, seeing us talk. Why am I tripping off of them?
Because all of that came from somewhere, and no one, and you, it's hard. Listen, it is a hell of a breaking. Mm-hmm. But once you come out of that, you will soar in places because now you are open to be influenced by this other light from the universe. But that's hard to do because we have all of these walls and these rules and these guards up that says, you know, you're doing this to me, you're doing that to me. No, you're not. If you're loud, then you're loud. I always tell this story about how I was in the grocery store. Now listen, I'm talking like this now, but in the beginning, I felt every part of this. I felt embarrassed. I felt like I had to get past that only because he didn't have one of the kind of shoes that people used to. It was just freaking ridiculous. I'm glad to be free, and I hope you get free out of that. So now I can laugh at it because I am free from taking responsibility for something that's not wrong. It's just different.
Right.
It's not wrong. And I remember we was in the grocery store, and we was in the grocery store, and he was at the counter, and he was getting ready to pay for something, and we forgot one thing. So I ran to the produce department and say to get some onions. He's at the cashier and hollering. Now it's late. It ain't too many of us in the store, but still, jail. So I come back and I'm just smiling. I come back and say, "Here's the stuff here." And the cashier says, "Woo, aren't you embarrassed?" I said, she asked me, she said, "Ooh, and that's aren't you embarrassed?" I said, no, because I didn't raise him. But if you want the number of the person who might be embarrassed, I can give you his number. I married him. I didn't raise him. And I laughed, we laughed, she laughed, she said, "That's a good one." And I went on. I thought no more about it because he can't embarrass me. Right. He can't embarrass me. But this, I'm saying this now with fervor, but this wasn't true. I was locked down before. Terribly locked down. But guess what? We couldn't grow. You couldn't move because I wasn't going to allow you to become whole. How do you let somebody else become whole and complete? They have to be able to be themselves. That's it. And you have to ask yourself, what are you embarrassed about, and why is that embarrassing? And who told you to be embarrassed about that? And if you feel that comes from you, then find the words to have the conversation. But if it's coming from the fact that other people are looking at this, that, and the other, hey man, listen, you can't live for them. You can't live for them. You can't live with them. And I tried it, and we couldn't grow because now that means I'm trying to change, and I'm trying to fix you, and I'm trying to push you into something that don't have anything to do with why the Creator sent you here to do what you do. And when we first got married, you would say them kind of things. I'm not sure what someone's gonna think about this when they see you. I'm not sure. Are you okay with that? I was like, I don't give a DW what you know I mean about what these people think. But listen to who's saying it. Somebody who came from projects. I graduated high school 8 months pregnant. You know how many people were judging me? You know how many people felt that because I made that decision to have my daughter, or the decision to become a parent way before I could afford it, right? They had judgments of me. And I got treated a certain way as if I couldn't rub two nickels together because somebody decided that because I made that decision, I ain't have no damn sense.
Right.
At all. That wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't true. And so I wasn't free to be me because someone felt a certain way. But here I am. Pigeonholing someone and yoking somebody up. Why? Because in the neighborhood they would have laughed at him. So that means they're gonna laugh at me.
They're all gonna laugh at you. They're all gonna laugh at you.
Listen, I know this is hard, and I'm telling you what easy come out of it. But I promise you this: when you come out of it, I'm telling you, you're gonna be connected to your best self.
There you go. And so now, when we have a creative relationship, there's a key to staying present in your relationships. There's a key when you're present in your relationships. Mm-hmm. And the conscious when you have a conscious relationship, one of the number one keys is that a conscious love is when you pay attention to what you have not been paying attention to. Mm-hmm. I'll never forget the first day I got that. I really understood that. We went to Miami on vacation one time. Mm-hmm. And I said, Jill, I'm realizing I got to start paying attention to what I haven't paid attention to. Mm-hmm. I've got to pay attention. And if I'm not paying attention to what I haven't paid attention to, then I can't make the adjustments. I can't make the corrections. Which meant, today I can say it even more clearly, I've got to be present in where we are and wherever I'm at that moment. And I've got to be in that moment. I cannot be on autopilot. I cannot be on just going with the flow. But I must pay attention to what I haven't been paying attention to. That's the only way that I can assist and make an inner adjustment within myself.
Right, and I think you would, on a note, you were talking about this. You were talking about how to create a partnership, how we use our energy for life's journey together.
Right, I skipped that part, but go ahead. Yeah,
for
right.
life journey together. And so we cannot have a journey together if he can't be who he is. Mm-hmm. If I can't be who I am in the Lord, if I can't change. See, at some point, we are going to settle this matter right here. And that's this. You are not what you wear. You are not what you wear. You are who you are on the inside. And that was something that I could say, but I wasn't living it.
Right.
I wasn't living it until this is how God broke me out of that. He sent me somebody who just was going to try all kinds of things, and then was going to do plays and put on wigs and dance and do these things. But you know what happened was, no, really, what happened is this. What happens is you are stuck in the mentality of your environment. Mm-hmm. See, once I start traveling, I saw a lot of this. I'm telling you, I saw folks with red glasses, white people, black people, men, women, old, young. I saw that I was being choked out of living by this small world that I was a part of. And once I got out, especially if you go to New York, and you stay there long enough, you're going to see that folks just do whatever they feel like doing, and nobody's stopping, laughing, and pointing. That's a DC DMV thing. And I pray that we get past that, Deron, because it's a lot of single women out there right now. Mm-hmm. Because somebody didn't have the right shoes on. Their outfit, no. They didn't have on a Nike sweatsuit. They had on a Wilson sweatsuit.
You're lying. People are not that. They don't go
please, because I was. Please. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. We look at all of that stuff. And then that's how we make our decision about life. But you don't know that the creator of the universe is bringing these people in your life so to stretch you, to expand your world, your mind from a neighborhood to a worldview.
Remember, we went out to one of them, it was Old Country Buffet, and we took this brother out, and we was introducing to another sister, and he sat on one of the chairs and put his leg up, and had his leg up because he wanted her to see the tattoo that was on his leg. It's called insecurity.
God, heal my brothers, please.
Right, and so he really wanted, and I was like, what is he doing? And I realized he wanted us all to comment on that tattoo.
As if that tattoo means you. Tucker probably did mean that you went through some pain. You know, I don't have a tattoo. I only heard the stories. But I'm telling you, these are all yokes
Right.
They're all yokes and they rob you.
And so when we pay attention to what we have not been paying attention to, that's why I had to bring God into my arguments, because I said, there's a reason why you're bringing this up to me. Mm-hmm. There's a reason why we're having this discussion. And why does our love, and here's a question I'm going to ask you, why does your love don't seem not to work? There's some of you want love, but it doesn't seem to work. It's because, and this is strength I want you to deal with, we tend to love out of our woundedness and not our healed selves. I'll say it again. We tend to love people out of the hurt we've experienced, the wounds that we have. And we don't love out of our healed selves, and neither do we take the time to become healed. Mm. So what ends up happening is we end up loving people with our hurt. And when we love people with our hurt, we hurt them. Hurt people hurt other people. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And my biggest problem is that instead of me facing that I was an overeater, mm-hmm. I used to get pissed off when you went to the refrigerator, because you could get some of the things you wanted to get and I knew I couldn't eat it. And instead of me understanding, Deron, you have an addiction to food. You are now getting an attitude with her because you're loving her out of your woundedness. You're loving her out of the pain that you have not dealt with your own healing. Why would you bring that in the house? You know that's what I'm struggling with. That ain't your problem.
Let me tell you why that's so hard. Because then I left the little tasty treats I want in the store just to go to my car.
Oh, shut up.
An empty box
Shut up.
of orange glazed donuts in the car.
Let's say this. There used to be Highs. Like it was like a 7-Eleven. It was a Highs. Mm-mm. And when I went to Highs, you know how they had the individual donuts in the case. Mm-hmm. But then I found one day that they had these orange glazed donuts in a package, and so a box, and I would buy 6 of them. And so I was caught up in overeating, because one day, Lord willing, I'll do when food is love if we ever get a product.
Deron used to weigh about 360 pounds, so I just want
360 pounds, right?
Overeating, he's.
I wasn't joking. I was really going for it, and so I would hide my food. And so one day I bought donuts, and she said, "Where you get?" I got it from Heinz, and I would just take them out the box and put them in the bag and bring them in. She said, "They sell it individually," and I lied. Yeah, they do.
I was like, I didn't know that, because those are my favorite donuts that I couldn't bring in the house, the whole box in the house, because guess what I was doing? I was bringing crack in front of the crack person.
Right.
So that's how I was treated.
And so one day, her and Talita got into the car, and they found the box, because I didn't know how to be thorough, stuffed up under the seat.
And I tried to move my seat back, and I said, "Something." No, it wasn't just the carton this long that had 6. It was milk too. It was an empty milk container. It wasn't just a carton.
Because I could eat all 6. I would eat at least 4 of them, driving 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and eat it. And that was my snacks. That's what I did. And I was busted out. Go ahead.
And what you were saying here is that how someone would, in terms of loving out of your woundedness.
Right. Go ahead.
Right. And loving out of your woundedness. And I put on my paper, how does that look? Mm-hmm. How does it look when you're loving out of your woundedness? And I remember you used to, and I said this many times, we were talking, you do that.
I don't care about
that meant you didn't care about me. I don't care how much you said. It just meant so much to me. And even, I'm not saying I got over it quickly, because I didn't, but it just meant so much to me. And I kept trying to require you to know how painful that was for me. And I remember when I finally got past this, listen, only the truth gonna set you free. Really, really. And if you continue in that truth, then you will find yourself in freedom. But, you know, at years and years and many years later, when I began to kind of help women find their voice in these things, I shared, listen, I will not hug your fears. I'll hug your hurts, but not your fears. Because here's the deal, oftentimes what's contained in that wound is fear. There's some kind of fear of getting hurt again. So there's some kind of fear. So if you're hurt, I can be there for you. But once it becomes so intense, because now fear has taken over. Now the fear of being re-victimized or re-hurt is taking over. And now you want me to have more responsibility. And sometimes that will look like having to do too much tiptoeing. You know I have triggers. No, you're supposed to know you have triggers.
Right.
When I'm not responsible for your triggers. I have my own.
And it took me years to explain that move.
Right.
I just did it with a friend. He said, hey, Deron says, and I said, that's what Jill told me. I can tell you today, I'm so not thinking that thought. That was my only way to be able to vanquish that thought and say, ain't nobody thinking about that.
And you have plenty of other actions, right? That was just a trigger that I needed to deal with something. You had plenty of other actions that says, Jill, I love you. Okay? But this right here made them all go away. You don't love me. You don't respect me. When you do that, you don't love me. So now I'm asking a person who has there's no meaning to that for him. There's meaning for me. And so now I'm asking the person, guess what? Don't have a reflex. Don't have a reflex because I'm jammed up. No. 100, keep it 100, Jill. 100% of your responsibility to take the power out of that bug swat, to take the authority away from whatever is disturbing your peace because somebody moved their hand like that. Ask yourself, why does that mean so much to you?
Right.
And then go and sit with yourself and allow some things to happen.
Let me explain something to you, and I want you all to understand that many of us choose people that we love so that we can get from them what we did not get from our parents. And so many of us, when we choose love and when we choose things, we choose people so that they will give us what our parents did not give us. And it's unconscious. We don't even know that's what we're doing. And so when we choose someone else to give us what they did not give us, and it's unspoken, it's an unspoken expectation. What happens is we put unnecessary pressure on them, and they don't even know. I'm here to meet needs that I have no idea that you didn't have met.
You know, I'll tell this story. It is so real. It is so real, but it was so painful. See, I want to say the same thing you said, but I want to say it this way. The creator of the universe understands that you're missing some pieces. And these pieces that you're missing, right? These pieces that you're missing, if you don't get them, then there are some doors you're not going to go through.
Right.
Right? So this is not just about marriage. It could be a coworker. It could be someone else. But people help you finish that unfinished business because maybe there's something in your youth or in your childhood that you would have that went unexpressed. Because maybe you lived in a house with a controller, or you lived in a house with a wounded parent or a wounded guardian, and so you didn't have the opportunity to bring that very necessary thing about you into the light. So let me give you a story. It's a hard story, and this has happened with me 2 or 3 times. So here I am. As I told you, I graduated from high school 8 months pregnant. I was the good girl. Everybody was shocked that I was pregnant. They didn't even know I had a boyfriend because I wasn't that kind of person. Let me not say that kind of person. I just wasn't public like that. I'm going to say it that way. So my daughter's grandfather, they were educated people, okay? His brothers, you know, his father was a professor. at one of the DC schools, the very first black professor. So they had high expectations, and then here I come and deal with the sons, and then I end up with a baby, right? That means he's the father, I'm a mother. So during this time, I'm being treated terribly by this person. But somehow the message that came back to me was that I was stupid. They lived in a house. I lived in Southeast DC. I lived on Southeast DC, the old water place. The original, with right next to Valley Green. So it had a reputation, and but this person really didn't know me. But simply because of where I live, he did some terrible things, and I mean terrible. Will call me, your baby daddy at the time. He's walking his girlfriend home. Well, at this point, I'm in labor or I'm in a hospital. I just had to leave, and he did that to hurt me. Mm-hmm. I'm 17. I'm about to turn 18. So as far as I'm concerned, I am too young to handle all of this. But the one thing, the message that adversary tried to get to me was, you're stupid. Mm-hmm. He never said that, but that's how I felt. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then I married Deron. Deron's father doesn't know this person, and now his father and them, not just him, right, and them are treating me like I'm a dang fool because I had a baby. Now, granted, other people got kids outside their marriage, but ain't nobody call them stupid for that.
You don't want no ready-made family. Like, brother, you got 3 kids outside of mine. What are you talking about? Keep going.
You understand? But somehow all of this is coming towards me. In the midst of that, now I'm getting to what God is trying to do with me, right?
Right.
So now I meet Deron, and Deron and I are married. Maybe we were engaged. No, we had to be married, because if we was engaged, I would have left you. We were married. And I probably said some word that trying to sound smart, didn't really know, because guess what? I had that complex back then, right? Mm-hmm. And I used some word, and Deron says to me, you got to watch that. I can't take you around my friends. Let me tell you something. I cussed so bad at him. I'm sorry, I think I made the devil proud. But that was my hurt from all of this. Now listen to me. But because I got past that, now all of these things I get to do, write books. I ended up going to school. I didn't read. Deron says, Jill, you need to read. I don't need to read. All I need to read is the Bible. He said, no, you don't, Jill. You need to read more than the Bible. Listen, I'm trying to get you to see all the ways I was stuck and all of these signs that was in my way, but they came to me in a negative, in an ugly box. Mm-hmm. But I stuck it. I stuck it because some feelings of it was real about me. And you know what the truth was? It was something inside that needed to be unlocked. Now today, I'm this person. I am the person who did a book club. I am the person who wrote a couple of books. But I'm telling you, what do I believe strongly? That the Creator understood that something had to get that out of me. Mm-hmm. And it came out like a fight. But I was around folks who read, and I was around folks who didn't just do that kind of talking that happened in my neighborhood. And I needed these people. I needed these people. And it came in an ugly box. But I'm here now. And that thing that was lacking, mm-hmm. It was lacking. It was an empty space. But it was an empty space that if I let God put his hands on it, and I'm talking about the spirit of truth, get to it, then I would become all of what I was supposed to become, and whatever my decisions were that desired to rob me of even thinking past my neighborhood, all of those walls had to come down. So I know that's a hell of a story. And it's easy to say, ain't nobody going to talk to me like that or treat me like that. I'm not doing it. All I'm saying to you is this. Sit in the truth, continue in the truth, and let the truth set you free. it went on and on and on and on, up to the point when it came time for me to go back to school. Go back to school meaning was to go to college because I just finished high school. And for years I didn't move because I said it was Deron. The real deal is I was afraid. I was afraid that I wasn't going to be able to do it.
And kept trying to get me to do it. And I said, I may do it, but jeepers.
You need to finish school. You need. Listen to me. Today, my daughter is a physician. That same little baby that I had, that guess what? She is the pride and joy of those people who didn't want her or me. Didn't want her or me. I used to hand her over the fence to their house because they wouldn't even let me come in. It was cruel. But guess what? That opposition was the adversary trying to keep me from getting right here, being with this person, and talking to you today. That thing would have buried me. But it didn't. It did. And today, that same child is a physician and a Harvard graduate. All of these things were in my future. And all of those bullies at the time was trying to get me to bury myself under their criticism. But they were also bringing the truth. Jill, you need to study. Jill, you need to wake up. Jill, you need to do X, Y, and Z. It was also true. And I had to get that little bit of truth that was surrounded with all that ugliness. And I'm just saying, you do that third thing so you can get where you're supposed to go.
Here's the thing that I'm going to share right here on that. The next letter on here is when one chooses life. And that means to stretch behind being defensive. I realized that you were a very strong person, and I was strong. And I said, how do I get her to want to change? How do I get you to want to do better with yourself? Well, that meant, I remember we were living in Sea Pleasant, and I said, she's not reading like I think she should be reading. And we would be better off if she really understood what was going on. So I humbled myself and said, let's read this book together. And because I came in, because that was at the time when I decided I was not going to have sex with you. Like that was going to work, and you outlasted me. Because I was like, I'm not doing anything until she makes a change. And then that's when wisdom said, Deron, and I can say it's wisdom now, but the wisdom told me, humble yourself. Buy 2 books of the same book. And if you want her to understand the difference between you two, because we were clashing, I said, let's just read this book together. And each night, and then I understood when I read that book, I was going to be opening myself up for criticism. I was going to be opening myself up for accusations, and I was going to have to be vulnerable. But if I chose to stretch beyond being defensive and sit down and let you read, I gave you what you needed, and you began to grow into your wholeness. And then I got what I needed because I began to grow.
Because I had no idea that I was thirsting for this world. I had no idea.
Okay.
That I wanted that. I had no idea. And the thing that blocked it for me was when you would say you need to read, this is what the voice would say to me. You are ghetto and stupid. Oh, Jill, you need to read more. That's not what I heard. Okay, that's what I heard, but that is not what I embraced. I said, what do you think, I'm stupid? Nobody said that. But that came from all of that. Remember that unconscious, like that locked in that unconscious pattern. And I had to say, and I'm glad that he was a man with a vocabulary, even though he may have had some anger issues. He also could use his words. So that wasn't your problem. And you would just say, Jill, I didn't say that. And this is what helped break me, because then I would say, yes, you did. You made me feel that way. And then he would say, Jill, and I'm telling you, do this. Tell me exactly what you heard me say. What did I say?
Right.
And then I would say back to you what you said, and then you could say to me, did I say that? That voice was so powerful of condemnation, of shame, was so loud that even when someone said you need to read, that voice overrode you and said, no, that he ain't really saying you need to read. What he really means is that you stupid and ignorant.
And that wasn't the case.
And those were not the words at all. But I think that someone out there, they know. They know.
Hey, you all, that was a little something in the spirit for you. I pray that this was a blessing for you, and that you were able to glean from us our earned wisdom, our earned understanding, and our goal was just to share with you some truths and some nuggets that you can possibly use for yourself, because you don't have to be in the hell that you're in. You can create a new reality. And we created a new atmosphere. We created a new and it don't mean that we didn't get hot at times, we didn't go through things at times, but I decided if we're going to grow, we're going to grow together. I did something called What We Have Is Much More Than They Can See. And that's the deal. What you have and what we have is much more than anybody else can see. And I got everybody else out of my purview. And I said, I'm going to love you. That's all I got to say for this evening. Go ahead if you got something you'd like to share.
Right, and I will, and so hopefully you all will get that there are signs there. That's why you with whoever you with and you love whoever you love. And what you saw, you said, Jill, I married you for wisdom, but you understood that I would share wisdom, but it wasn't based on facts because I wasn't reading. So even that wisdom was hard to atcept at times. It made sense.
What do you mean? What was hard to accept?
Wisdom. For you? Yeah, because you would say, Jill, I married you, or what attracted me to you was wisdom. But he was attracted to a person with wisdom who wasn't even reading.
Yeah, well, here's the deal. I knew you gave me a way to see things that I had never seen them before. And I said, I can't do without this in my life. And wisdom. Now, them jeans look good on you too, but wisdom was really why I hooked up with her. And it wasn't a hookup situation. It was, okay, I'm not going to let somebody else be able to deal with you because I'm going to need this in my life. And that's why I got with you, because you were smarter than me. And I still maintain that to this day.
Right. And what I want to say is this. What God knew and the light that he was sent into my life understood that need to be perfected, matured. So you could see all the wisdom in the world from me, but I couldn't go but so much further if I was only going to just be doing the quips and the quotes in the barbershop, talking, putting pieces together and knowing how to connect these things together. I needed to be more grounded and I needed a better foundation. In order to get here. And so this is why, and I want to say this last thing, and this is why that partnership, when we choose to stretch and not be defensive, we are able to give each other what we need. He was able to give me what I needed. I was able to give him what he needed. I was able to make sure that I wasn't going to make myself responsible for his moves. But I had to do it and not be angry about it. And I had to learn to do that and not be angry about it, not be disappointed about it, okay? I had to and it was very hard to do that because I did feel responsible in something, because I think ultimately women try to fix men and men try to control women.
And the next time we come back, we're gonna pick up where we are. We'll go back, review a little bit, and then we'll pick up because there were some more points. But I want to close this out too.
I'm with you.
You good?
I'm with you.
All right. If you want to close it out, you can. And listen, y'all. Earlier today, I took ashwagandha. Ashwagandha is a mushroom. I take that in the evening, and it's a Chinese mushroom. And what it does is it helps relax. And it helps put me to sleep so that I will have a good night's sleep. And it's a mushroom. I can do it in a tea form. And this morning, I even had a friend call. He said he was laughing. He said, because I saw you, he said, I'm your friend. I can laugh at you. He said, you was sitting there. And he said, is he meditating? And I closed my eyes. I was like, oh, my goodness. I have never fallen asleep doing one of these things right here. But I had to be honest and transparent and say, hey, y'all, I tried something different because I get stressed out trying to get all this stuff happening. And I said, well, maybe if I take one of the two of these ashwagandha mushroom pills, I will have a calmer spirit. I'll never do that again. So I'm back. I took a great nap today. I'm feeling good. My name is Deron Cloud, and this is Jill. You can close it out. I'm done. I'm not getting up to go nowhere, so you ain't got to touch my arm. I love you.
See,
Go ahead.
Because he'll just I call him Eddie Murphy, and he'll just drop the mic, and then he's
All right.
But anyway,
Go
listen.
ahead.
If you are interested and you're saying, you know what can I do? I heard this broadcast. What can I do? I would like to do something. Well, what you can do if you heard this broadcast and it blessed you, right? How can you give to us? You can go to kidseatfree.com and help us feed some kids.
Right.
You can help us feed. You can help us feed some kids. I mean, it's simple as that. Go to kidseatfree.com. Hit the donate button.
And you can tell your office workers and all that, because we had a Micaiah Kersey that blessed us through somebody else, and now because she worked with this company and knew these people, we were able to feed 380 children. Families this past weekend because of the food that was extra food given to us. And so it was up almost twice as many, almost 3 times as many as we normally feed.
And for you all who may not know this, we have been feeding for it's been about 15 years now, that especially in ATL. But I'm not sure how long in Maryland, but we've been doing kids just as long, if not longer, in Maryland, because it started in Maryland.
Yeah, it's about the same time.
So we've been feeding kids. We did a backpack program because we realized that children were getting food, being able to eat during the week at school, but over the weekend they would be hungry, and so we kind of worked with some of the principals, and they helped us identify the children who were exhibiting food insecurity. And so that's how we started the weekend backpack program. And so that had a certain number to it, but since coronavirus, now there are more people showing up, not just the kids who were identified with
families were showing up.
Now all races, white, Asian, African American, Indian, so now there are more people showing up. But the other thing I want you to know too is Micaiah Kersey lives in Boston. So this wasn't someone in Maryland.
Okay.
This was because she lives in Boston.
God bless you, Micaiah.
So, but she has relationships with folks over here. So she talked to Dr. Sahira Long, who was a mentor to my daughter, who's a pediatrician as well. Then she talked to Dr. Sahira Long, and so we did so well with this group giving food. They're now asking us, can we now connect with ATL and see if the kids on that side, if they could eat. So I'm just telling you that this thing will keep moving. And what do we know? Listen, God refreshes those who refresh others. And some of us, we still can refresh somebody. We can do a little something even though we're doing COVID-19. So again, go to kidseatfreenow.com, and that's how you can help us continue to be a blessing to the earth.
And I think I saw one thing, and I'm not sure on one of these screens, you said thank you, and you're welcome. You're welcome, and I thank you for tuning in and working with us. And my prayer is that the wisdom that was shared will help you break through whatever you're going through.
Indeed.
I honestly believe that you can do this, and if I can do it, anybody can get it done. And so I thank you, Jill, for keeping me here, holding me, reminding me, letting me know what time it is. And I thank you for being a great friend and a great partner as we've done this thing for years. And it feels good to see the fruition of some things take place. And nothing warms my heart more than to know that the children are being fed. And so, hey, my name is Deron Clown, and in Pastor Liz, what she taught me, this is sign language. I love you, and I beat you to it. I beat you to it.
Me as well. And good night, and y'all go and have some conversation, share those notes, and let's grow from this.
Amen.
Y'all take care.